And welcome back to Brussels, where I'm joined here at the European Commission by the new Prime Minister of Georgia. Appointed in November last year at the age of 31, Irakli Gharibashvili has promised to normalise relations with Russia while deepening ties with Brussels. It might be a difficult balancing act for this small Caucasus nation, which is still haunted by memories of the 2008 war with Russia, when Georgia lost 20% of its territory. Prime Minister, welcome to Talking Europe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You were in Brussels this week to discuss the signing of a free trade deal with the European Union, the so-called association agreement. Why is this deal so important for Georgia?
Thank you. It's a good question. So, as you know, we initialed the association agreement, including with the DCFTA, at the Vilnius summit several months ago. By initialing the association agreement and DCFTA, and after we sign the association agreement, this will open up tremendous opportunities. This will give us the tremendous opportunities. We made the European integration process an irreversible. And I'll tell you, several weeks ago, we made public opinion surveys, according to which we see that over 85% of the Georgian population support the country's European integration process.
As your ultimate goal, of course, is EU membership.
Absolutely. That is our ultimate goal, in order to reach that level and become member of the European Union.
Last year, as you know, Russia blocked a similar agreement between Brussels and Ukraine. We're going to talk about Ukraine later in the programme. But regarding Georgia, do you expect any pressure from Moscow?
Well, first of all, I would like to say a few words about the Russia-Georgia relations. Since we came to power in 2012 after the parliamentary elections, the new government changed our attitude towards Russia, vis-à-vis to Russia, and we tried to normalize our relations with them. Gradually, Russia started to open the market, and we could sell Georgian products on the Russian market. But at the same time, last year we were facing a number of provocations, a number of problems along the occupation line. What I mean is that Russians started to install the barbed wire fences and artificial barriers, which creates a lot of problems for our citizens on the ground.
You say that these are provocations from Russia.
Yes, I mean, when they installed 45 kilometers of these barbed wire fences, and some houses and some people were left behind these fences, and it created, too much,
So are you discovering that normalizing relations with Russia is actually much more difficult than you thought at the time?
Well, I think, we have some, we reached some improvements, I mean, in the transport communication. I would call it in technical relations. But our constructive steps and constructive efforts didn't really affect the political side. Although, we, the new government, we've been very, very constructive towards them.
Are you telling me that the Kremlin is not interested in normalizing relations with your country?
Well, I wouldn't say so. We also saw some, positive statements of the Russian leaders, and also some positive signals. But at the same time, what I'm saying is that it really conflicts with our constructive steps, what they're doing on the occupation line.
Now, regarding the situation of these two Georgian breakaway republics, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, your country still regards them as part of your territory. Russia is one of the few countries that actually supported their independence. Russia is currently helping them financially and militarily. It looks like a deadlock. Is this a frozen conflict?
That's right, and that's why, when I said that, we've been taking these constructive steps, but it didn't really affect the political side, that's what I mean. Because there's only one big problem, and that needs to be solved. This is the occupied territories, and we're talking about the territory of our country.
And what can you hope for? What kind of settlement are you hoping for?
Yes, we need to, find a solution. There's always a solution, and we have to find it. And of course, we attach great importance to the relationship with Europe, with the United States, and I think that the involvement, the EU role in this process is extremely important. It's crucial.
The European Union is very keen on doing a deal with Georgia, which it regards as one of its few success stories in the region. But under your government, as well as previous governments, one of the biggest concerns has been the judiciary. Former Prime Minister Irakli Gharibashvili was arrested on corruption charges last year. Meanwhile, dozens of former officials have been detained since your Georgian Dream coalition defeated Saakashvili's long-ruling party. Now, the opposition says that your government has embarked on a witch hunt against the previous administration.
That's right. Well, you know, the opposition may say everything, but the reality is there. We have to say the truth, and my principle is very simple. Nobody is above the law. That's very principle, and also transparency and due process and the rule of law. That's how these are the main principles of the new government. What we did, you know, before in the past, the court system, the judiciary system was absolutely not independent, and what we made, the first steps we made towards this, we liberated the courts, and now the judge and the court system became independent, and absolutely independent, absolutely transparent.
But when you have a former prime minister,
all the court hearings are absolutely transparent.
But you are creating the impression, though, that one of your main you're creating the impression that one of your main priorities has been to eradicate the main opposition party, because you have a former prime minister who's been in prison with no trial.
Yes, it's a wrong perception. It's a wrong perception. When people say that, you know, we are, you know, there are several cases of selective justice and so on. It's not true, because, you know, when they say that we're holding Vanu Merabishvili or others in a pretrial detention, we have some, you know, certain reasons for this. By the way, I would like to tell you that the previous government prosecuted 300,000 citizens, Georgian citizens. They were all held in a pretrial detention. It was a bad tradition. But we have a reason when I said Vanu Merabishvili was an influential figure in the country. And also there was a risk that he would influence the witnesses, the important witnesses of the case.
But if there is no opposition left...
When the investigation thinks that, and he has enough, you know, proves that the person, detained person, has, you know, capability to make an influence on the witnesses, then we can easily address the pretrial detention.
You met Enlargement Commissioner Stefan Füle this week in Brussels. What did he tell you regarding these concerns? Because there are a lot of concerns here in Brussels that there is no opposition left in your country.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, it's too much exaggerated, and I understand where it is coming from. But the reality is there. So we welcome any, you know, international monitors or any international experts who come in Georgia and investigate these, you know, these cases. Well, the truth is very, you know, very strong.
Do you have an image problem because of all these cases? Several dozens former officials from the former ruling party.
It's too much exaggerated. There's no several dozens of, you know, former higher officials. We said that we pardoned the medium and the low-ranking officials, and as for these gentlemen who are, you know, being prosecuted, we had reasons. I'll tell you an example. For example, today I'm a prime minister of Georgia. And let's say if in 5 years or in 10 years, a new government comes in and they find out that I committed a crime. Should I be responsible? Of course, yes. I should be responsible for what I've done now, what I'm doing now. That's my question. That's my answer. And also, again, I'd like to repeat, nobody's above the law. But we have to make sure that we have a due process, we respect the rule of law and the transparency.
This program is produced in partnership with the HEC, Europe's leading business school. Noël Lenoir, who is the president of the school's European think tank, has a question for you. Let's listen to her.
Mr. Prime Minister, in 2008, your country faced very tough time and a devastating war with Russia. As a result, Ossetia, South Ossetia and Abkhazia broke away from Georgia with the explicit help of the Kremlin. Nowadays, another former Soviet republic is also facing very tough times, Ukraine. And many see the shadow of Vladimir Putin behind Ukraine's decision to block the conclusion of an EU-Ukraine trade deal. So my question is, what would you recommend to the people of Ukraine? How is it possible to avoid the chaos for this country?
Well, first of all, thank you for this question. First of all, I would like to say that Ukraine is a very important country for us. It's a partner country, it's a friend country. We had a long history with Ukraine, and we're extremely concerned about the recent developments in this country, and we're watching very closely the situation, the evolution of the situation in our brother country. What I will say is that I very much hope that the Ukrainian leadership, political leadership, and the opposition and the people, they must, gather and sit down at the table, also with the involvement of the European Union, and they should find a solution together, because otherwise we will get a chaos in this country, and which will be a dramatic, disaster, which will be a disaster for this country.
Now, at last weekend's Munich conference, yes, Russia clashed with Western leaders. Russia basically accuses the West of fueling violence by, yes, siding with the opposition, by siding with the people on the street. Is Russia right?
Well, first of all, I would say that we condemn any violence, and the violence is not and will never be accepted. Whether it is coming from the opposition or it is coming from the government or from anybody.
In your view, it's coming from both sides, right? No,
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I wouldn't say directly that it's coming from both sides, but there are competent, authorities who will find out where this violence is coming from.
Moving to the Sochi Winter Olympics that were launched by Vladimir Putin on Friday. Now, Tbilisi, your capital, is only 500 kilometers away from Sochi. It's a city you know very well. Let me ask you, first of all, was Sochi the ideal city to host the Winter Olympics?
It's a good question. It wasn't ideal for us, for Georgia, first of all, because it's really close to us, to our occupied regions, Abkhazia. And second, it was really hard for us to take the decision to send our team, to send our athletes to Sochi to participate in the Sochi Olympic Games.
Your athletes are taking part, yes, in the Olympics.
But
why did you make such a decision?
Well, I'll tell you. So we thought that we should separate sports from the politics, and we said it's not. Well, I think they shouldn't suffer from this, and we said, although it's hard for us to take this decision, but we should send them, and we did so, and we didn't boycott the Sochi Olympic Games, but none of the governmental officials are going there.
Regarding the threat of terror attacks during the Olympic Games, have you been cooperating with your neighbor Russia?
We made it very clear, and we announced publicly that we would be happy to cooperate, even in the field of security. And we said we would be happy to cooperate, and we would be happy to contribute to the security of the Sochi Olympic Games. On our side, we reinforced the security measures, and last year we were patrolling and we were controlling the situation on the ground in our territory, and I think we did well.
I've got a question, of course, about the Georgian wine, because Georgian wine is extremely popular in the region, but because of bans, your wine can't be drunk in Sochi. Do you think that some Georgian wine will be served to the visitors in Sochi this year? Because that would be a strong sign of a rapprochement between your two countries.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity to promote Georgian wine and during Sochi Olympic Games. And I think, actually, everybody will love it. And we'll love to see Georgian wine in Sochi during the Winter Olympic Games.
But as far as we were informed, there won't be any wine this year. Are we there?
It's not decided yet.
Okay. Now, one last question about your experience as a Prime Minister. You're one of the world's youngest leaders. You were appointed in November last year at the age of 31. Some of your critics say that you are a mouthpiece for Georgian billionaire Ivanishvili, who is a very strong and very close ally of yours. What do you respond to these criticisms?
Well, it's not about the age, it's about the job, and it's about the achieved results. I'll tell you something. When I was 23, I became the president of the foundation, Ivanishvili Foundation. And then I was, promoted several times. And so I would say, my age is a secret of my success.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for talking to us. I remind our viewers that you're the Prime Minister of Georgia.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this edition of Talking Europe. I was in Brussels at the European Commission. It's time to go back to Paris for more news.